Hello everyone, today I'm going to be taking a bunch of measurements of my Winnebago Micro Mini 2100 BH. This should help you with making the best use of your space, whether things will fit or not. So we'll get right to it. Start here with the pass-through storage. So this thing is, let's call it 24 inches exactly in width, and to the foam it is 14 inches height. Corner to corner is 26 and a half, maybe 26 and a quarter. Yeah, 26 and a quarter. Alrighty. I know this is a question I had when trying to figure out what kind of hitch to get. So the trailer's about level. Let's say it's about, I don't know, 27 inches to the inside top of the coupler, maybe 24 and 3/4 inches to the bottom of the coupler. Back here, in terms of storage, if you have the gas tank cover, you have at its narrowest, let's say 9 3/4 inches. Down here where it kind of tapers, you might get 11 and a half inches. There's a single battery on the other side. You would have at the narrowest, I don't know, about 12 and a quarter inches. Back over here, 16 inches. Let's see, you got, I don't know, say 23 inches there. Maybe 32 and a half inches right there. This measurement's gonna be the same as the previous one. The activity hatch, or whatever they call this little door. Don't worry, this is a new hose. It has not been used, in case you're wondering about the open connections and all that. Don't freak out on me. So let's see, this is 27 and a half inches in width. And with the little threshold down there, this ends up being 39 and a quarter inches tall. The storage in here is 22 and 5/8 to the framing, 24 inches to the hollow section. From the floor to the top, it is 46 and a half inches. Over here with the wheel well, it is maybe about 18 inches. The wheel well is about 6 inches tall. Let's get length. It's about 64 and a half inches. This is an access cover to get to, I think, some plumbing and electrical stuff. If you go all the way up here, that gets you to 72 inches even. And if you have this down, this would be 16 and 5/8. Inside clearance is 17 and a quarter. But if you go all the way to the top, you'll get 18 and 5/8. Okay. The rear bumper, there's probably about an inch and a quarter gap between the back of the RV and the bumper. And of course the bumper is a 4x4 cross section. Let's keep going around. Let's see, what else could we want here? The GFCI plug is between 39 and a quarter and 42 inches. So if you're wondering if kids can reach it or not, that's the height. This guy here, which is like the hot exhaust, that is between 33 and 37 inches. So this gets kind of hot. You want to make sure kids don't touch that. Exterior steps. The first step is a bit off the ground because this has the Explorer package. It has a higher ground clearance. Let's see. The first step is a pretty solid 15 inches off the ground. After that, each subsequent step, that one is 7 inches. And the next one is probably about 9 inches. But that first one You know, if you're a little older, got some knee issues, you may want to consider that. They sell little aftermarket steps that you could put here to break up that 15-inch first step. In width, it is 24 3/8 inch wide. Let's see, this opening is 24 1/8 inches wide, and then height is, oh, this is gonna be kind of hard to measure because it's curved, but let's call that, I don't know, 68 7/8. Yeah, 68 7/8. Okay, now the interior dimensions. Let's turn on the lights. Let's slide out the slide out. Actually, before I slide that out, in case you were wondering, your clearance in here is 13 3/4. I've nudged it a bit, so it's probably 13 5/8, which is pretty narrow, but you can kind of walk through. It's a lot more comfortable if you slide this thing out, of course. I'm gonna go ahead and slide this out, and I'll get everything ready to do the interior measurements. Okay, should be ready to get some interior dimensions now. So this bed, I think, is advertised as a queen, but as y'all know, an RV queen does not mean an actual queen. It is 53 inches wide, and let's say about 72 inches long. You do have this little pocket over here. It's about maybe 4.5 inches wide, and the length of the bed, you could, you know, store phones, whatnot. You could probably shove comfort or something in there and extend the bed, essentially. Anyway, this window here is 31 inches by, let's call it 28 inches. This little overhead compartment, each door is 19 3/4 by 11 3/4. But more importantly, the opening, this is what I was very curious about. The opening is 37 3/4 inches wide. The clearance, if you don't go through the hinge or if you remove the doors, is 10 inches. If you leave the hinges in place, it's, let's say, 8 7/8 inches. The depth all the way to the inside, including this little lip here, is 20.5 inches at the bottom. Halfway up, it is probably 14.5 inches. And then at the very top, I mean, it's maybe, I don't know, 8.5 inches. Height inside, once you clear the doorway, you actually have, there's a little ledge here, so you probably have 12 1/4 inches. And then halfway into it, that's about halfway there, you have 10 inches, and then it slowly goes to 0. The dimensions for this compartment and this one are identical. I've already measured it out, so it'll be helpful. Down here, you have access to the pass-through storage. So the clearance here is 14 5/8 height and 20 3/4 without the hinges. With the hinges, 20 inches. And then the storage under the bench seat is 12 inches by 12 3/8 without the hinge, or 11 5/8 with the hinges. Your foot space here is, let's say, 45 3/4 by 26.5 inches. Your bench seat here is 21 3/4 inch deep, and the backrest is 13.5 inches tall. Your clearance to the table is 17 3/8. And then down here is 10 1/4 inches. Hey buddy, go over there with Cindy. Don't be coming up here. Careful. What else? Where was I? Oh yeah, the storage. Let's take these guys out. So you get two of these storage compartments. They're both identical. So I'll measure one out for y'all. So the opening is 20 1/8 inch. And then right here, it is 35 inches, almost perfect. The opening inside, once you clear that opening, is 22.5 inches. And then internally in here, it is 43 1/4 inches. And then this is 15 1/4 inch tall. So we'll put this right in there. And I guess another measurement, if you turn this into a bed, so if you drop this table and put the cushions in, let's take a measurement on the length. It'll determine how tall of a person can sleep here. It would be 70 3/8 of an inch long. That's how tall of a person could sleep in that bed. Okay, so with the slide out all the way out, you get a pretty good clearing in here. It's plenty big for a pack and play, which is our concern. So it's 42 1/4 inch wide, and that 42 1/4 is by 89 3/8. Okay, your cabinet space, we'll start with this one up here. So the opening is 15 inches, and then your clearance, oh, I got a little crack right there. Anyway, the clearance is 24.5 inches with the hinges. Without the hinges, it's closer to 26 inches. Let's see, height here is 24 5/8. Oh, I guess I didn't measure, excuse me, I didn't measure the depth of this cabinet. It is 16 5/8 to this inside lip. You could go on top of that lip if you really needed to, and that would get you to 17 1/4. And as far as height, it is 17 inches high. Okay, and then under your sink, you have two identical openings, which down here, you can't really make use of that space, so I'll give you these measurements here. This is 15 5/8 by 10 3/4 of an inch. That's to the hinge, or 11.5 inches without the hinge in the way. This space here is 22 1/4 inches deep by 17 1/4 inch high. Over here at the sink though, you only have about 10 1/8 inch before you hit the sink on this side. Then you get what looks like 4 of these drawers. This top one is just to put some sponges and such, and down here it's just access to the water pump. So you really get 2 storage compartments, which are 9 and I would say 3/4, but it might be a 1/16 over. Let's say 9 3/4 of an inch. And that way you have 18 1/2. Again, you might be a 1/16 over, so we'll say 18 9 16ths if you want. Height, you are right at 6.5 inches. And again, there'd be two of those. Here's our second one. Over here, again, you have what looks like two drawers, but this bottom one is access to, I think that's the water heater. I'm not too sure. We just got this thing. But this guy here, this one gives you 18 3/4 of an inch wide. Should be the same length as the other one. Yeah, 18.5 inches. And the height, you actually get a little more height than what the drawer gives you, because you got the space all the way up to 9.5 inches height. Alrighty, now your bunks. This is your top bunk. See how close it is to what they advertised. 28 inches by 72 inches, and you have 24 3/4 of an inch clearance. Should be plenty of room. You got the same length and width down here, and this one has 25 inches of clearance. You have access here to the outdoor accessible storage. There's the door right there, which is lockable from the interior. Here, let's see, the opening is 14 1/4 by 23 1/8, and then all the dimensions taken from the outside should apply. The bathroom door, the actual clearance here is 18.5. And to the floor, it is 73 3/4 of an inch. So if you're 6'4", or even if you're 6'2", you might hit your head there. All right, in here, see your dimensions are, it's about 36 inches by 52.5 inches. These little shelves are 7 inches by about 7 inches, but they got these curves here, so you don't have that much usable space. Out here, 4 inches. So if you have a bottle that's maybe 3-inch diameter, might be able to clear there. You of course get 3 of those. I think that's all for inside there. Your freezer. Your freezer is 16 3/4 of an inch wide by 15 3/4 of an inch tall by, depends on how you want to measure this, but if you measure to about here, which is where these little trays go to, you have 12 1/4 inches. Speaking of these trays, they allow for something that's about 3.5 inches to get in. It opens up a little bit down here, so you can maybe squeeze something through. Width is 15 1/8 inch. Height is 8.5 inches, but the clearance is 16 3/4 of an inch. Sorry, 6 3/4 of an inch. Up top, it's not going to be as tall. You have 4 and maybe 5/8 clearance on the top set of little drawers there, or shelf rather. So your fridge space is going to be 19 5/8 wide, and overall it is 34.5 inches tall. Probably more useful would be some of these individual measurements. So with the shelves about evenly spaced out, which is what they have, it's about 7.5 inches to the top one. You have, what would that be, 5.5 inches, 5.5 inches, 5 5/8 of an inch. These little drawers are 8.5 by, let me just pull one out, 8.5 by 8 3/4. That was, yeah, 8.5 tall, right? Yep. So then the depth this way would be 9 1/4 inches. And you get adjustments, let's call it every 2 inches. So all these dimensions here you can change by 2 inches up or down. This here is 17 1/8 by 4 1/4. These here are 4 inches by 7 5/8. That's going to be the same. Let's get this one up here. This is 17 1/8 by, looks, yep, like 4 1/4. At least at the middle. Maybe a little bit less. It kind of tapers towards the edge. Okay. What else? I think that's all of them. If y'all think of anything, I guess this guy. Let's go ahead and take these measurements. The stove. So the width here, if you're wanting to put in a griddle, it is 21 5/8. And then from front to back, you have about 20 inches of usable space. Realistically though, if you were going to split the difference, you have maybe 10 inches on this burner, 10 inches by about, I don't know, 9.5, 10 inches. The same over here. Yeah, you probably don't want to go more than about 10.5 inches by, I mean, 9.5, 10 inches. This one over here, same thing. I mean, I guess you could put one big pot here and kind of work it out. Split the difference. Okay, I believe that is all the useful measurements. If there's anything else that y'all want, just post it there and I'll try to get it and add the additional measurements. Alrighty.